Всем добрый день, спасибо, что подключились. Мы 2 раза переносили этот семинар, 1 раз из-за света. Спасибо, что, надеюсь, что у вас всех все хорошо, есть свет, горячая вода, отопление. Семинар у нас сегодня по теме переговоры, эффективные переговоры. Наш гость Sudeshni Fisher из Oracle. Семинар будет проходить на английском с переводом на узбекский язык. Мы запись сделаем и отправим всем, кто подключился. Sudeshni, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for postponing the workshop from the last time we had blackout. We know that you're working as product strategy manager, many years in IT, many experience, and thank you for doing a workshop on credible conversations with us today. It's relevant in our everyday life, in business, with our startup founders. So after Barno will translate, we will get over to you. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Barno, мы вас не слышим.
Sorry, Elena.
Yeah, I think some issue, Barno, with headphones.
Assalomu alaykum hammaga. Ishlayaptimi? Assalomu alaykum hammaga. Bugungi darsimizni bir necha marta qoldirishimizga to'g'ri keldi. Shunga qaramasdan mana bugungi mahsulotlar strategik menejeri Sudeshni Fisher xonim bizga ishonchli suhbatlar bo'yicha darsni o'tib beradilar.
Sudeshni, over to you.
Great. Elena, can you see my screen?
Yes, we see.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you all. Thank you for having me today. It's a real pleasure to get to speak to you. So I'm Sudeshni, and a little bit of introduction from my end. I put this up on the slide. It's just a map. I'm very passionate about maps because it's a long way from where I live at the moment. So basically, I'm originally from South Africa, and I am presenting to you today from Ireland. I'm in Dublin, and I have been in Ireland now for the last 12 years. And you all are in this region in Uzbekistan. And my name originally is from the south of India. I haven't visited India, but that's where Indians had come 150 years ago to South Africa. And 12 years ago, I was brave enough to go to Ireland. It's a little bit of an intro from my end.
O'zim haqimda qisqacha gapirib bersam, hozir Janubiy Afrikadanman, lekin o'zi kelib chiqishimiz avlodlarimiz Hindistondan bo'lgan. Hozirgi kunda sizlarga prezentatsiyani Irlandiyadan turib namoyish qilyapman. O'zbekiston bilan hali unchalik tanishmasman, lekin kelajakda tanish niyatlarimiz bor.
And then on a light-hearted note, I put this up. This is a picture in Dublin. It's called the Halfpenny Bridge, and it's one of my favorite pictures, and it's a lovely part of the city. And when I first came to Ireland in 2009, it was during a very tough time. It was during it was a crash. It was very hard to get work and things like that. And I was told that if you get onto this bridge and you drop a coin in and make a wish, your wish comes true. So my wish was that I managed to stay more than a year away from home, and the wish came true. So I'm here now 12 years. So that's a little bit of lightheartedness to share with you.
Bu rasmda sizlar Nepen ko'prigini ko'rib turibsizlar. Nepen ko'prigini ko'rib turibsizlar. Bu ko'prik juda ham mashhur ko'priklardan biri hisoblanadi shaharda. Dublinga birinchi marta kelganimda shunda qiyin paytlar edi. Shunda o'ylaganman, bu yerda odamlar shunga ishonar ekanki, ko'prikdan turib tangani suv ichiga tashlasa, o'sha niyati amalga oshadi, deyshadi va shu tangani shu Dublinda qolaman deb niyat qilib tashlaganman va 12 yildan beri bu yerda yashab ishlayapman.
Great, thank you. So the agenda for today is we're talking about credible conversations and why is credibility so important. So during my career, credibility with our customers is huge, but credibility in everyday life is just as important. So what we're going to discuss today is really very relevant for business, but also for you as an individual. We'll talk about what are the components of a credible conversation, and then I'll take you through techniques for credible conversations. So these techniques I learned when I was in my previous company, so when I was working in SAP, and the technique is based on spin selling, and this was devised by a man called Neil Rackham. And the technique was a 3-day workshop, but I have summarized this, and I'm going to share this with you. And I have shared this technique several times in my career within 10 minutes, and people get the value. And then we'll get the tips and tricks.
Bugun sizlar bilan tadbirkorlikda ishonchlilikni muhimligi haqida gaplashib o'tamiz. Bu muhimligi haqida gaplashganimizda uning suhbatlarda ishlatgandagi uslublari haqida gaplashamiz. Sizlar bilan SAP tashkilotida ishlaganimda spin uslubi bilan Ning Rackham tomonidan tashkillangan seminarda, 3 kunlik seminarda o'rgangan ma'lumotlarimga asoslangan holda bu seminarni sizlarga taqdim etaman.
Great. So this is really, really important, right? It's one of the most important aspects of any business, especially when we have customers involved. It takes months to find a customer and just literally seconds to lose one. And that's why in technology, in any business, it's so important that we constantly trying to ensure that we make our customers happy, we retain our customers, and we form very trustworthy relationships.
Tadbirkorlikda muhim jihatlardan bittasi shuki, mijozlarni jalb qilish oson ish emas. Ya'ni mijozlarni topish uchun oylab kerak bo'lsa, ularni o'zingizni tadbirkorlikda ishingizga jalb qilish, ularni yo'qotishni 1 daqiqada yo'qotishingiz mumkin. Shuning uchun biz ishimiz davomida asosan mijozlarni bizni xizmatimizdan qoniqishlariga, biz bilan ishlashlaridan mamnun bo'lishlariga harakat qilamiz.
So I just want to ask the audience a question, right? Because it goes on to my next slide. So can they guess and put in their estimation? How long do they think the attention span of an average individual is? So, you know, when we're engaging, how long does a person actually listen to what we've got to say? Does that make sense? Whatever time limit they think, I need them to put it into the chat.
Sizlarga qisqa savolimiz bor, ya'ni odamlarni e'tiborini qaratib turish, ushlab turishga necha daqiqa sarflanadi? Ya'ni sizga e'tibor berib turishi uchun. Qancha daqiqada siz ularni o'zingizni eshitishingizni ta'minlay olasiz? Chatga yozishinglar mumkin javobinglarni.
So we all can participate, right? Think about it. Today, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. 1 minute.
Somebody wrote 3 minutes.
3?
Mm-hmm.
3. Okay. Okay. Well, you know, according to studies and what 1 minute, okay. According to studies and research that's on the net, as well as Microsoft did this research a few years ago, it says that the attention span of the human being, this was done in 2013, so I'm afraid to see, I haven't found anything in 2022, but in 2020, it still stands the same, that the attention span of the human mind is 8 seconds. And it's quite relevant, and they're comparing us to a goldfish, right? They say, oh, you know, the goldfish it's a myth that the goldfish only has an attention span of 9 seconds. But if this is true, and I think it's true as well, because today we all have so many devices. Whilst I'm talking to you, you know, there's other Slack messages coming up, and you have your devices. We're so distracted. And if this is true, that we only have 8 seconds to capture the attention span of someone we're going to talk to, then we need to summarize and have very clear in our head what we're going to say, because we're going to lose their attention if we don't know, if we don't speak with confidence, and we don't know exactly what we want to tell them. So the whole credible conversations is based on you being prepared, you having a plan to engage with your potential customer so that you are credible, because you only have potentially a few seconds to get their attention before they start dreaming or thinking of something else.
Mijozlar bilan ishonchlilik haqida gaplashganimizda, ya'ni odamlarning e'tiborini qancha daqiqa ushlab turishimiz haqida gapiryapmiz. Ya'ni o'zlarini o'tkazgan tadqiqotlariga asosan va bu isbotlangan natijalar ekan, 8 sekunddan 12 sekundgacha mana 2000-yilda aytilyapti va bu oltin baliqqa solishtirganda bu 9 sekundni tashkil etar ekan. Shuning uchun biz mijozlar bilan ishonchli suhbatlar qurganimizda, ya'ni o'zimizni mahsulotimizni taqdimot qilib yoki ular bilan xizmatlarimiz haqida gaplashayotganimizda albatta tayyorlanishimiz kerak ekan va reja qilib turib ushbu boshidagi ularni e'tibori qaralgan paytdagi vaqtdan foydalangan holda o'zimizni aytmoqchi bo'lgan gapimizni aytib olishimiz, qisqa va lo'nda qilib aytishimiz kerak ekan.
So having said that, that's why it's really, really important that, you know, apart from just trying to establish good relationships with our customer, we need to always plan out, you know, some sort of loyalty whilst we're engaging with our customer. We always need to provide excellent customer service. We always need to be ahead of the game and always remember that being credible and forming good relationships and being reliable as well as being honest is probably the main components of establishing a loyal relationship and being loyal to your customer. So these are things that you just need to think about, you know, in your day-to-day life with your business and so on.
Mijozlarimiz bilan ishonchli aloqalar o'rnatishda bizga muhim bo'lgan jihatlar bu bizni xizmatlarimizni yaxshi qilib tashkillashimiz va mijozlar bilan o'rtamizda ishonchni, uzoq muddatli ishonchni tashkil qilishimiz va ularni doimo ravishda yuqori sifatli xizmatlarimiz bilan ta'minlashimizni, tiqla olishimizni, ishontira olishimiz kerak ekan. Bu asosiy xususiyatlardan biri ekan mijozlar bilan bo'lgan munosabatlarimizda.
And the next slide is just something really simple, but how to influence your customers to buy from you. So in the software industry where I work at the moment, these are components that we are always reminded of all the time. Now, in your situation, if it's a smaller business and if it's a startup, it's still very, very important for you to constantly, in your day-to-day planning, constantly think about, you know, what's your plan around being trustworthy? Are you offering competitive prices? Are you doing the research to find out, you know, how are you going to dominate the market? You know, are you offering the best price? Do you look at your customers' reviews? Because for us, you know, it's very similar in a big organization. It's a very competitive space, but it's the same thing that helps us to be successful. Looking at our customers, the feedback and the reviews and what they've got to say to us is essentially so important for our products and for our sustainability within in the software industry in order for us to keep a competitive edge. We're always trying to improve our image in the market. In your case, if you have a website and, you know, just make sure that it's up and running and it's got good downloading time. You don't want someone to click onto your site and, you know, not be interested. Always keep things up to date from a visual appeal. So whether you have signboards out or having the latest marketing images is really, really important. Customer support. So always address your customers' issues because customers buy from customers essentially. So they will spread the word out. And this works even in enterprise companies like myself. We're always getting customers to spread the word. We always using customer success stories. To try and educate other customers how we sold and how we won in a specific area. Then also whatever your product is, make sure it's ease of use for your target market. And if, you know, the feedback from your customers is always going to help you innovate and improve on your product. And then things like, depending on your strategy and the market, there's always things to incorporate as part of your plan, discounts, and innovation of new things is always really important as well.
Mijozlarga mahsulotlarni yo xizmatlarni bizdan sotib olish uchun nima jihatlarga e'tibor berishimiz kerak deganda quyidagilarni aytib o'tyaptilar. Ya'ni doimo ishonchli bo'lish kerak ekan. Sizni xizmatingizga yo mahsulotingizga ishonchlari kerak ekan, uni eng yaxshiligiga bozorda va yaxshi narxlarni taqdim etishingiz kerak ekan. Raqobatchilarga, boshqalarga nisbatan sizni narxingiz mijozlaringizga qulay bo'lishi kerak ekan. Shuningdek, mijozlarni qanday qilib sizdan xizmatlaringizdan foydalanayotganini doimiy ravishda kuzatib borib, xizmatlaringizni, mahsulotlaringizni yaxshilab borishga harakat qilishingiz kerak ekan.
va sizni ko'rinishingiz bozorda yaxshi bo'lishi kerak. Ya'ni sizni brendingiz, sizni mahsulotingiz, xizmatlaringiz. Keyin mahsulotingizni masalan texnik sohadagi, ya'ni bularda o'zlarini sohasidagi biznesni aytadigan bo'lsak, texnika sohasidagi mahsulotingizni yuklab olish, undan foydalanish jarayonlari qanday kechyapti. Buni ham mijozlarga qulay tarzda tashkillashga harakat qilishingiz kerak ekan. Shuningdek, mahsulotingizni, xizmatlaringizni ko'rinishi, uni brendlari, marketing jihatdan ta'sir qiluvchi xususiyatlari ham o'ziga jalb qiluvchi va doimiy ravishda insonlarni ko'ziga yoqadigan, chiroyli shaklda bo'lishi kerak. Bundan tashqari, mijozlarni siz qo'llab-quvvatlashingiz, ya'ni sizga doimiy mijoz bo'lgan insonlar bilan aloqalarni yaxshi o'rnata olganligingiz, ularni muvaffaqiyatli hikoyalari qolganlarga ham o'rnak bo'lishi kerak ekan. Shuningdek, yana mahsulotingizdan foydalanish juda ham qulay bo'lishi kerak ekan va bu qulayligi bo'yicha xususiyatlarni insonlar o'zlarini xotiralarda, ya'ni taassurotlarida yozib qoldirsa, siz ularni doimiy ravishda yangilab borib va buni mukammallashtirib, yana ham mahsulotingizdan foydalanishni yana ham yaxshilab borishingiz kerak. Bundan tashqari, doimiy mijozlarga qandaydir chegirmalar va shunga o'xshash ularni yana jalb qiluvchi, ushlab turuvchi, yangi mijozlarni jalb qiluvchi usullardan ham foydalanishingiz mumkin ekan. Yana shuningdek, mahsulot, xizmatlaringizni turlarini yangilab, yangi takliflar bilan bozorga chiqishingiz kerak ekan.
Right, thank you. So influencing skills. So tips to increase your power of influence. Firstly, it's really important, no matter the size of your business, is to strategize, okay? Always have a clear, defined goal in mind, do your research, and part of the strategy, and we do this every fiscal, we strategize for the following fiscal, and we plan how we're going to incorporate innovation for the next year. Our vision needs to be very clear, and our company is so big that we always need to sell our strategy plans to different stakeholders to influence them that this is the way things should go. And in a small business, it's the same thing. You would need to constantly make sure you have a very clear vision and all your stakeholders understand the vision and understand what type of budget you're going to contribute from a marketing perspective, what type of growth you'd like to see year on year. And of course, all of this cannot be done solely on your own. It's part of teamwork. So that's really, really very critical. The other important thing is, when you have your plans and your ideas, developing skill and ability to show the vision to others is not easy at all. So, this is where your credibility will come in. It's great to have good ideas, and this happens all the time in our organization as well. But you need to get others, you need to influence others to see the picture as you see it, so that they buy into your idea. And that's why the credible conversation comes in, because it helps you to talk in a logical manner. And we'll go through that as I progress into the next slide. Strategic thinking is really, really important because it's all about making plans and being inspired of how to alter things and make things much more successful. It's about knowing how to incorporate customer feedback into your plans and improve for the following year. And this is all about persuading others and influencing others to go with your ideas and your kind of vision and your goal. Bano, do you want to translate?
Ya'ni sizlar qanday qilib o'zingizlarni kuchinglarni va ta'siringlarni kuchaytirish bo'yicha uslublarni aytib o'tdilar. Bu yerda bu asosiy sizlar strategiyani amalga oshirishingiz kerak ekan ushbu yo'nalishda. Ya'ni siz ko'rayotgan yuqori keng ko'lamdagi tasavvurni boshqalar ham ko'ra olishiga harakat qilishingiz kerak ekan. Ya'ni korxonani faoliyatini qanday bo'lishini, siz qanday yo'nalishda uni rivojlantirmoqchiligingizni qolganlarga ham ko'rsata olishingiz kerak ekan. Bu strategik fikrlash deb aytiladi. Bu yerda albatta siz rejalashtirish orqali, ya'ni har bitta jihatlarni hisobga olib, mijozlarni siz haqingizda, mahsulotingiz haqida, xizmatingiz haqida bergan taassurotlarni ham bu rejalashtirishga qo'shgan holda fikr mulohazalarni so'ragan holda odamlar bilan reja qilishingiz kerak va buni jamoa bilan birgalikda muhokama qilib amalga oshirishingiz kerak ekan va boshqalarni orqangizdan shu strategiya bo'yicha, shu reja bo'yicha ergashtirib olishingiz kerak ekan. Ya'ni jamoani birlashtirib, uni bir xil fikrlashga, bir xil yo'nalish bo'yicha ishlashga, yangilik yaratishga va tadqiqotlar qilishga olib kelishingiz kerak ekan. Har bitta bu strategiya bo'yicha amalga oshiriladigan kichik qadamlar, ya'ni milestones deyapti, kichik qadamlarni qaysi qadamdan keyin qaysinisini amalga oshirasiz va bu amalga oshirilgan qadamdan keyin nima bo'lishini kutyapsiz. Shularni ham jamoa bilan birgalikda hal qilib, shuni amalga oshirishga kichik qadamlar bilan borishingiz kerak ekan. Va albatta yangiliklar qo'shishga va bu yangiliklar qo'shganda jamoani har bitta a'zosini eng yaxshi qobiliyatlarini ishlatgan holda umumiy natijaga erishishga harakat qilinishi kerak ekan. Bu o'sha strategiyamizni tashkil qilar ekan.
Great. So the last point here is innovate, right? So always have innovative ideas, always doing research, look at competition. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're always using the net to see what others are doing. But the most important part is give your team. So if you have other people working in your startup, give them tools to do the job the best of their ability. And this line, give them tools, is a segue to spin selling. And that's the tool that I'm going to share with you. It's a free tool that you can download. So I'm just going to move on to that. I don't know, Bano, whether you need to translate that as well.
I will give a little explanation. Innovatsiya haqida gapirdilar, ya'ni siz hozir qaytadan g'ildirakni ixtiro qilishingiz shart emas. Ya'ni boshqalar nima qilayotganini ko'rgan holda bulardan o'rganib, siz o'zingizni jamoangiz bilan birga qandaydir bir yangilik kiritishingiz mumkin. Hozir sizlarga spin sotish bo'yicha buni uslubini ko'rsatib o'taman.
Great, thank you. So this is what spin selling is all about. As I mentioned, I did this when I first started in my last company, and it's a 3-day intense workshop. But SPIN is an acronym for, S is for situation, P is for problem, I is for implication, and N is for need. And my next slide, I've drawn out a mind map, and I'm going to show you how we're going to plot this on a mind map and how you can use it to help you speak credibly to a customer. So before we go on to the next slide, let me explain a little bit. So spin selling is based on a methodology that was devised by a man called Neil Rackham. And if you Google it, you'll find out he's sold books and has done lots of things. It's a very successful technique. And we use it very often in many organizations when we are selling to customers. But since then, many of us have realized you can use this on a day-to-day basis, not only to sell to customers, but to sell an idea internally or even at home. It just helps us to sound more credible. So the S for situation, we are going to ask, and we're going to remind ourselves to ask our customer, whoever we're selling an idea to, whoever we're trying to influence, we're going to ask them situation questions. So we need to establish the customer's current situation, everything about the customer currently today. And we're going to use a few very basic examples so that you definitely understand the concept behind it. So it's part of the workshop. So don't stress if it's not making too much sense right now. So it starts off with situation questions where we ask the customer lots of things about themselves. Then we go into problems where we identify problems that the buyer is facing and that hopefully we're going to be able to solve. So we're actually trying to get into the customer's shoe to understand where they are and what difficulties they're experiencing and how can we help them. And then part of the conversation, it doesn't sound great, but we want to grow their problem. So whatever their problem is, we want to make them realize that, if they don't do something about it, the problem is going to be even bigger. So we're going to ask questions about impact. If this was the problem, what's the impact on your business, okay? And then we're going to tell them what they need, and we're going to position our product. So if you want to explain that, and then I'll go on to the step-by-step.
Spin selling metodologiyasi bu uslubi Nick Rackham tomonidan o'ylab topilgan uslub ekan va bular o'zlarining tashkilotlarida ham bu mahsulotlarni, xizmatlarni sotishda bu uslubdan keng foydalanishar ekan. Spin so'zi abreviatura bo'lib qisqartirilgan, ya'ni jarayon, situatsiya va muammo, problema va implication e'tibor berish, ya'ni o'sha narsaga nima deydi, ko'rsatib o'tish va oxirida need bu ehtiyoj so'zlarini qisqartmas ekan. Masalan, jarayon deb aytadigan bo'lsak, siz mijozlarni hozirgi kunda, hozirgi jarayonda qanday muammo qiynayotganligini so'rashingiz kerak ekan. Ya'ni situation deyilyapti, bu yerda so'ralyapti va qanday qilib o'zingizni hozirgi sharoitingizni tasvirlab berasiz degan savol bilan uni muammosini aniqlab olishga harakat qilasiz ekan. Keyin ikkinchi jarayon nimasida, uslubida bu yerda muammoni mijoz duch kelayotgan muammoni sizni qanday qilib mahsulotingiz yecha olishini savollar orqali unga yetkazib bera olishingiz kerak ekan. Ya'ni siz to'g'ridan to'g'ri aytmaysiz, ya'ni uni muammosi bilan siz yechimingizni bog'layapsiz shu uslub orqali. Va sekin uni shu narsaga olib kelishingiz kerakki, savollaringiz bilan sizni mahsulotingizni agar sotib olmasa yoki xizmatingizni muammolari uni kattalashib keta olishini ko'rsata olishingiz kerak ekan ushbu ishonchli suhbatni jarayonida.
Okay, so just to explain, on the right here, it's very well clearly defined what the spin selling is all about. So I've explained at a high level, you know, what situation, problem, implication, need is roughly like, but the situation questions, basically, these are questions that we ask to find out more background information about the potential customer we're talking to. So an example of this would be describe your current situation. So if we're talking to another technology, another company, and it could be in any industry. So say it's retail industry. So a simple question is, depending on the persona we're speaking to, tell us your current situation. So in the retail industry, if we are speaking to an IT individual who we're going to position some analytics product, we're going to ask them, so what analytics software, what is your current situation that you are in today? Okay, so it's all about where the customer is today. And then step 2 would be the problem questions, right? So step 2, we're talking about problem questions, and these are to ask the questions, problems again, difficulties and dissatisfaction. Step 3 is implication. So it's the same as I just explained, but growing the problem. And these are questions you ask, what's the consequence? So if you have the problem, what is the consequence? And basically, we want to position a product that they think that they will need. And we hopefully want to anchor a sale at the end.
Masalan, aytadigan bo'lsak, masalan, birinchisi sharoitini so'rayapmiz. Siz qanday ish jarayoningizda muammolarga to'g'ri kelasiz? Biznesingizni tahlil qilish tutasizlarda muammo bo'ladimi? Biznes jarayonlaringizni boshqarishda desa, biz o'zimizni analitik, ya'ni biznesni tahlil qiluvchi dasturimizda ularga taklif qilmoqchimiz va ular o'zlarini biznes jarayonida tasvirlayotgan jarayonlarda aytishayotganda qandaydir tashkillashdagi qiyinchiliklar, ya'ni mahsulotlarni u yerdan bu yerga olib o'tishdagi, shularni tashkillamaganligi haqida, ularni tahlil qilinishi to'g'ri emasligi haqida ayta boshlashadi va biz muammoni sekin aniqlagan holda, ularni hikoyalardan kelib chiqqan holda o'zimizni mahsulot yechimlarimizni ularga sekin ko'rsata olishimiz kerak suhbat jarayonida. Va bizni shunaqa analiz qiladigan dasturlarimiz bor. Bu dasturlar sizni muammolaringizga qandaydir jihatdan mana shunday qilib yordam berishi mumkin deb uni sekin ko'rsatib berib, savol orqali shunga olib kelishimiz kerak ekan. Savol javob orqali.
Thank you. So this is me plotting spin selling at the back of a serviette. So I have reduced a 3-day program down to 10 minutes where I can transfer knowledge to very new people. So this is what I've done, right? So when I have worked with customers over the years, and I've done this 100 times or 1,000 times, every customer I'd speak to, and sometimes in one day I would speak to many customers, and I wanted to make sure every customer is I'm very credible with. So an example of this is taking spin selling and mapping it on this page. So if you have a page with you, just draw it out for yourself. Draw the middle block as a customer. In this case, my customer is Paul, he's a CFO, and it's a big company, it's Tesco. In your case, your customer could just be it could be just an ordinary individual, or, I don't know, you're selling to other startups, whoever your customer is, the middle block is your customer name, okay? And then the mind map, I have now plotted spin on the mind map. So I have written just the word situation as well as the word problem here. Implication is down here, and need, okay? So I have plotted this spin selling as a mind map on a page. And all I'm doing is I'm explaining the concept of spin in a few minutes. And this is going to help me, as well as whoever learns this, to hold credible conversations. And if you have this plotted on a page, it's going to remind you, until you can memorize it, it's going to remind you that you need to get through all areas of this before you let go of the customer. As you know, it's very hard to get the customer's attention. And once you have the customer in front of you, make sure it's going to be really credible. So apart from spin selling, when I speak to customers, I always want to know what's their goals, like, what are their plans? And then part of selling in an organization is this acronym called BANT. Now, you don't have to remember this, but it's just part of the sales language. And the B stands for budget, A, authority, N, need, and timeline. So we always want, when we're speaking to a customer, this is to remind me, does the customer have even money to buy what I want to talk to him about? Where is he in the organization? What's his authority? Can he sign? Am I speaking to someone, an admin person, or am I speaking to I always need to assess this in the conversation. The N is how needy are they? How do they really need what I want to position? Do they need my product? And how soon, the T is timeline, how soon do I think they will engage and they'll buy from me? Now, this is more, in my circles, when I was a consultant, and I spoke to customers all the time, I couldn't waste my time speaking to a customer if they had no money. So I had to qualify these, but it's nice for you to know. So again, I'll say it: B for budget, A, authority, so what level they are in the company, N, need, do they need my product, and T, how soon will they like to implement my product? Let me know, Banu, if you need me to say anything again, or is it?
Yeah, no, it's fine, okay. Masalan, bu yerdagi rasmda, bu ya'ni servet deyilyapti. Oddiy salfetkaga siz buni qog'ozga ham yozib olishingiz mumkin ekan. O'zingizga ushbu usullarni yozib olishingiz kerak ekan va buni har safar mijoz bilan gaplashganda har bittasidan foydalanishga harakat qilinglar ekan. Ya'ni bu yerda o'zlariga mijoz qilib o'rtaga Tesco kompaniyasini SFO boshliqlari Paul deb ismlari bilan yozib oldilar. Sizlar ham o'zingizlarning mijozinglarni yozishingiz mumkin. Bu tashkilot bo'lishi mumkin yoki jismoniy shaxs bo'lishlari ham mumkin. Va bu yerga mana strelka bilan situatsiyani, ya'ni jarayonda sharoitni chiqarib olishyapti va sharoitlari qanaqaligini bittadan yozib chiqishlari mumkin. Keyin muammo, qanaqa muammolarga duch kelyapti mijoz, bularni ham o'zlariga qisqa qilib yozib olishlari mumkin. Shuningdek, qanday qilib nimaga ishora qilyaptilar, implication deb bu yerda ham ishorani yozib boryaptilar va ehtiyojlari nimada mijozlarda, buni ham yozib olyaptilar. Bu har bitta shu qismlarga, spin selling qismlariga to'xtalib o'tib, uni analiz qilib chiqib, mijoz bilan shu ular haqida gaplashib olishlari kerak ekan. Bundan tashqari bu yerda ham maqsadlar deb, mana goals deb qo'yyaptilar, ya'ni mijoz nima maqsadda, kelajakda nima ishlar qilmoqchi. Masalan, Tesco'ni aytadigan bo'lsak, bu juda ham katta supermarket bo'lib, kelajakda qanchalik faoliyatini yuksaltirmoqchi va qanchalik rivojlantirmoqchi, maqsadi nima o'zi uni. Va mana BENT deb aytib o'tdilar. Bu abreviatura bo'lib, BENT so'zi bu budjet, ya'ni qanchalik mijozda mablag'i bor. Ya'ni siz mijoz bilan gaplashyapsiz, lekin u mijozni sizning mahsulotingizni sotib olgani puli yo'q, yetmaydi. Buni orada sekin suhbat orqali bilib olishingiz kerak ekan. Unga qimmat sizning mahsulotingizni gapirib, u haqida tushuntirib o'tirishda foydasi yo'q, agar u hozir juda ham katta kreditlari bor va mahsulotingizni sotib olishga imkoniyati bo'lmasa. Keyingisi bu authority deyilyapti, A harfi. Bu A harfida siz gaplashayotgan mijoz tashkilotda qanday lavozimda ishlaydi? Ya'ni tashkilotda u insonni nimasi fikri o'tadimi? Siz bilan ya'ni suhbatlashib, sizni mahsulotingizni sotmoqchi bo'lib, o'zini tashkilotiga borib, shuni qilmoqchiman deb aytsa, bu amalga oshadimi? Tashkilotni oddiy kichik xodimi bilan gaplashib, vaqtingizni ketkazishni foydasi yo'q, to'g'risi. Shuning uchun u kim bilan gaplashayotganingizni ham bilib olishingiz kerak bo'ladi suhbatda. Buni vaqtingizni ketkazishdan oldin. Keyingisi mana need deb aytildilar. N harfi bu mijoz haqiqatan ham sizni mahsulotingizga ehtiyoji bormi mijozni? Buni ham aniqlab olishingiz kerak. Keyingisi time, ya'ni qancha muddat davomida sizni mahsulotingizni sotib ola oladi mijozlar. Qanchada sotib olishga tayyor ular sizni mahsulotingizni. Buni ham suhbat orasida mana shu spin sellingga qo'shgan holda shu jihatlarni e'tiborga olib, ishonchli suhbatni qurishingiz kerak ekan. Shu asosda shpargalka sifatida foydalansangiz bo'lar ekan bu usulda qog'ozga yozib olib.
Great. So I've just drawn the mind map on a page or on a serviette in this case, but what I'm going to show you is you can also have your mind map electronically. So there's a tool that you can download. It's called Xmind, and in a minute I'll post it on the chat, so you have quick access to it. But it's called Xmind, and you download it. It's free, and you can create these mind maps, which I have done hundreds of. So when I first engage with a customer, and I would draw it out on a page for myself, so I can quickly have the conversation and fill in the mind map on my page. And then I would generally transfer it if there is potential to speak to the customer and the customer has ticked all the boxes. I would then go on to develop an electronic mind map. And this is very simple. Once you download the mind map, you can then click onto the different blocks, and it gives you free templates. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to call up the mind map software on the screen. But before I do that, so this mind map is very similar again, right? We have the situation where we're going to ask questions about, whatever the current situation is. We asking challenge or problem. So we can change the word. Sometimes customers don't really like the word problem, but you remember P is problem or challenge. And then we're asking impact questions, and then we go on to try and position what we need. And this, we can PDF it, share it with the customer. It looks very professional. Our customers feel like, oh my God, I've done so much of work for them, but yet it's just a free software, and I'm quickly writing notes down and sharing it with them. But this could be used for anything, even if you're doing your projects or your planning, your strategy, your middle block, you can just put in FY23 strategy and just have your different blocks for your vision and your goals and your roadmap type of thing. So I'll let you explain that, and then I'll call the software up.
Bundan oldin sizlarga mana salfetkada o'zingizlarga mijoz bilan suhbatlashganda foydalanadigan shpargalkani fikrlar xaritasini ko'rsatgan edik. Endi siz mijoz bilan suhbatlashgandan keyin bu fikrlar xaritasini mana nima orqali tayyor internetdan sizlarga tashlab berar ekanlar. Mana shu shakl orqali chiroyli qilib yozib chiqishingiz mumkin va buni mijozga taqdim etganingizda ham u haqida to'laqonli ma'lumotga ega bo'lganligingizni ko'rsata olish mumkin ekan va buni o'zingizning hisobotlaringizga chiroyli qilib qo'yishingiz mumkin ekan. Bu shaklda ham xuddi salfetkada kabi hamma qismlari, ya'ni maqsadlar, sharoit, muammo degan so'zni ishlatishga ehtiyot bo'linglar deb aytib o'tdilar. Ya'ni uni o'rniga qandaydir to'siqlar desangiz mijozga qabul qilishi osonroq bo'lar ekan. Va ta'sir va shunday ehtiyoj qismlari bu yerda ham xuddi shunday qisqa bu shablonda aks ettirilgan.
Great. So tell me whether you can see that. I've just dragged it up. Okay, great. So this is the Xmind. This is the user interface. So once you, so that's my example. I'm giving you very simple examples so you walk away and you understand exactly what this is. So I'll go into that example in a minute. So this is what I had on my PowerPoint. So once you download Xmind, this is the UI. This is what you're going to see. You're going to see, you can go into File, you can create new, and then it gives you a whole lot of templates. I'm not clicking on anything right now, but once you create or choose your template, like I have started one off here, it's so simple. You can change the font, you can explore with the background, with colors. In order to have another block, all you need to do is click on one of your templates. So you've downloaded any template and you just go enter, and it gives you another block. And if you want to go sideways, you just go insert and it gives you, and you can explore and make some really very good looking mind maps. And you look very professional, one, and people really want to see it because it's all a summary on one page. So I'm using mind maps for credible conversations today. And the next two examples that I have is just very basic examples so that you walk away from this workshop understanding the concept even better. Okay.
Ushbu misolda hozir sizlarga qanday qilib fikrlar xaritasini yaratishni ko'rsatib o'tdilar. Ya'ni enter tugmachasini bosib kerakli nimalarni, funksiyalarni ko'paytirishingiz mumkin ekan, kerakli katekchalarni, va bu sizlarga sizlarni ishinglarni juda ham professional jihatdan ko'rsatib bera olish imkoniyatiga ega bo'lar ekan ushbu shablonlar.
Great. So this is the main canvas, and as you create different mind maps, it just forms different tabs on the top. You can save it as a PDF, and you can screenshot it. So sometimes I would save it as a PDF if I'm sharing it with a customer, because a live active map, if I share my map with you, you would need to download the software in order to use this map. So most of the time, we are not allowed to ask our customers to download anything. So we send them, I would send a screenshot or a PDF, okay? So the example that I'm using, do you need to translate that, or is you okay, Banu?
Yeah.
So the example that I'm using at the moment, so we're using spin selling here, and I just want you to get more familiar. It sounds like a very small, simple example, but I want you to get more familiar with the concept of spin selling, whether you're using it in business or in everyday life. So what I'm going to use spin selling here, it's a couple. They're about to buy a new house, so that's their goal. And the female is trying to influence her husband that she doesn't want to move location. She wants to buy a house, but in the same location, okay? So I'm going to use spin and try and influence her partner in a conversation. And just for you to take away and kind of remember, okay? So if this is a situation, the female, and she's speaking to her husband without him knowing she's using spin selling on him, or it doesn't have to be a husband, it could be a business partner, it could be anything. But you want to be credible because their attention span is not great. They're going to start looking at their phone any minute. So you start off talking and make sure you cover everything on this page. So you want to say, the current situation is that we are living in a great area at the moment. It's safe, it's secure, it's close to schools, it's a short drive to work. And we've already made friends here. It's a great network of people. So that's the situation. So she's now engaged in conversation and she's covered the situation. And she's now positioning the challenges that she foresees if they have to move to a different location. The problem I have with the new area is that it's a long distance from my place of work, lots of time to travel to and from work, no local shops close by, no recreational activity. And the impact it's going to have on my travel time is long distance. It will severely disrupt my routines. It will, there's a lot of time because I'll be traveling for maybe an hour. Huge cost implication on petrol, diesel, and so on. And this will also impact my health as I won't have time to exercise. What I need, potentially what I need is, I need to make sure that we both research houses for sale, that's in the current district, and this potentially will save time and money. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to influence her partner or whoever to go with her idea, but it makes her sound more credible rather than saying, I don't want to move. It just gives you anything you're trying to sell, whether it's an idea, if you're trying to get your business partners on board, if you formulate your conversation credibly by thinking and mapping out what the current situation is, what the challenges you foresee, how this impacts your current condition, whatever it is, whether it's a business or it's personal, and what potentially we would need, you've got a greater chance of influencing this way. I hope that made sense.
Ushbu misolda sizlarga oddiygina qilib oilaviy sharoitda oila xonadon axtarayotgani misolda ko'rsatib beryaptilar. Ya'ni bu oilani maqsadi yangi uy sotib olish va rafiqasi o'zi olmoqchi bo'lgan hududni xo'jayiniga, turmush o'rtoqlariga spin selling metodi orqali yetkazib bera olishga harakat qilyaptilar. Bu yerda ya'ni ta'sir o'tkazmoqchi va bu yerda sharoit tasvirlab o'tilyapti. Ya'ni bular rafiqasi olmoqchi bo'lgan uy juda ham yaxshi joyda joylashgan. Bu bog'larga, magazinlarga, maktablarga juda ham yaqin, ularni ish joylariga ham yaqin va atrofda juda ham do'st bo'lish mumkin bo'lgan insonlar yashaydi. Bu sharoitni yaxshi tomonlari tasvirlanib o'tyapti. Endi hozirgi sharoitda bular qanday muammoga duch kelishyapti o'zlari yashayotgan xonadonlarda. Ya'ni ishga borgunlarigacha juda ham ko'p vaqt ketadi. Magazinlar yonlarida yo'q, bu yerga ham vaqt ketadi borib kelishga. Ya'ni uydan turli xil mashg'ulotlarga qatnashishlari uchun ham sport mashg'ulotlariga yoki boshqa ko'ngilochar mashg'ulotlarga bu ham juda ham uzoq masofada joylashgan va bu muammo bularni hayotiga qanday ta'sir qilyapti? Ya'ni vaqt yo'lga ko'p ketyapti va vaqt bilan bog'liq turli xil xarajatlar paydo bo'lyapti. Ya'ni benzin bilan bog'liq, yo'l xarajatlari bog'liq. Shuningdek, bu vaqtlarni yetmasligi oqibatida bular sportlar bilan va turli xil sog'liqqa foydali bo'lgan mashg'ulotlar bilan shug'ullana olmayaptilar. Bu narsa sog'lig'iga ham ta'sir qilyapti. Endi buni hal qilish uchun bularga nima kerak? Bularning ehtiyoji nimada? Bular o'sha kerakli bularga qulay bo'lgan joyda o'zlariga turli xil uylar qidirishlari kerak va bu uyni topishsa bularga sog'liqlariga foyda bo'ladi. Ya'ni birinchidan qo'shimcha ortiqcha vaqtlari paydo bo'ladi va yo'lga ketadigan xarajatlarni, ya'ni pullarni tejashga muvaffaq bo'ladilar. Va keyingi qadamlari shunga qarab nima qilinadi, amalga oshiriladi.
Okay, great. So the next example is something very, very simple again, but it's more for you to get your head around the concept. So this scenario here is it's a salesperson. So let's call her Anne. She's a sales rep and she's selling shoes. And the main goal here is to sell shoes, right? So when a potential customer walks in, she can use spin selling as well, so that she sounds credible and she can position the product that she wants to sell, okay? So when it's this scenario, of course, the situation is, you're going to be polite to a customer that just walked in. So something like, good morning, sir, how can I help you? And try and engage in some basic conversation. How familiar are you with this brand or the product? And what you're trying to find out, at the moment, this is a shoe shop. He's walked in, so there's a potential for him to buy shoes. So you want to know what's wrong with your current shoes. So you want to ask some problem questions so that you kind of gauge, what is he buying this for? Is it for athletic purposes? Is it for fashion? Or does he just want a new pair of shoes? So what's wrong? Or, you're just trying to ask a question. That question doesn't sound wonderful, but you basically want to find out what's wrong with what he's wearing at the moment and why does he want something new? And hopefully that opens up conversations, and he's probably going to say, well, my current shoes, they're fashion shoes. I'm looking for something more comfortable to walk. Although they are, the ones that I have are very expensive. It's not that comfortable. It's not doing the job. I'm looking for something a bit more comfy, and I'm a bit skeptical because my last pair was very expensive. So he's given us a lot of problems there, and now it's the sales rep's opportunity to grow those problems and find out how is this impacting him as a person, and basically we're playing a psychological game in trying to influence him to buy the product, right? That's what we're doing throughout business here. So by him exposing those problems to us, now there's potential for the salesperson to say, how does the old shoe that you're wearing impact your walking performance? So it's making him think more and more about, it's not comfortable. Have you experienced any health discomfort with your current shoes? So we're actually growing those problems and asking him what's the impact on his health, and what's the impact on comfort. We're making it bigger than it probably is. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to position our brand to him. And we're trying to tell him, well, I think you would need this new pair of shoes. It looks modern, but at the same time, it has memory foam, it lasts forever, and it's on sale. So we're trying to position something that will cover all his challenges and make him feel, you know, very comfortable with the fact that we have something better for him. So that's a scenario on this particular mind map.
Ushbu kichik yana bir misolda sizlarga magazinga poyabzal olmoqchi bo'lgan inson voqeasi ko'rsatilyapti. Ya'ni bular magazinga kirdi, demak bular tuflilar bilan, oyoq kiyimlari bilan qandaydir muammoga egalar. Bularning maqsadi oyoq kiyim sotib olish. Bizning maqsadimiz esa ularga sotish bu narsani. Va sharoitni ko'rib chiqamiz va biz ularga albatta xushmuomala bo'lishimiz kerak. Bizning mahsulotimiz bilan tanishmi, yo'qmi, bular haqida bilib olishimiz kerak va ularning hozirgi poyabzallari nima uchun ularga noqullayligi, nima uchun yangi sotib olmoqchiliklarini bilib olishimiz kerak va buni sekin muammolarga olib kelishimiz kerak. Ya'ni bularning muammosi hozirgi kunda oyoq kiyimlari juda ham qimmat va zamonaviy urfdagi bo'lishiga qaramasdan u juda ham noqulay ekan va juda ham narxi ham yuqori ekan. Va bularga biz o'zimizni qulay, zamonaviy urfdagi va juda ham narxi ham qulay bo'lgan, ya'ni chegirma bilan sotilayotgan mahsulotimizni taqdim etib, uni shu muammosini hal qilishini, u aytgan jihatlarga javob sifatida ko'rsatib o'tishimiz kerak ekan. Ya'ni muammolarni sanab o'tdi, biz esa o'sha yangi mahsulotimizni uning yechimi sifatida olib kelib, unga e'tiborni qaratishimiz kerak ekan. Va u poyabzalni eskisini nima qilayotganda, foydalanayotgan paytda qanday ta'sir qilgan, yurayotgan paytda unga yoqimsiz bo'lganmi yoki oyog'iga qandaydir og'ritganmi, shu jihatlarni ham so'rab turib yangi mahsulotimizni ko'rsatishimiz kerak ekan. Ya'ni bu mahsulotimiz unga to'g'ri kelishini aytib va unga sotishga muvaffaq bo'lishga harakat qilishimiz kerak ekan. Shu jarayonni boshdan oyoq qadama-qadam o'tkazishimiz kerak ekan.
Great. And then and part and parcel of being credible and making sure you tick every box, every conversation you have to remember a next step. So whatever the customer has said, even if the customer, you know, in this case, it's a shoe shop, so it's a little bit more difficult. But if you've already developed a relationship with the customer, find out how, if the customer is not going to buy right now, what is the next step? And in your mind, so say it's a customer that's just walk in, and if this particular customer decides not to buy, you can then try and influence them. Oh, we have great sales at the end of January, so this will be further discounted. Only if you realize, you know, they're not going to buy, you want to still keep them in the loop. So always find out what's the next step. If your customer is ready to negotiate with you, anchor a time and solidify it, put it in the calendar, or we'll meet on whenever, depending on what you're selling and what you're engaging. Okay, so always plan a next step.
Bu bosqichlardan o'tgandan keyin albatta keyingi qadamni xayolingizda reja qilgan bo'lishingiz kerak ekan. Ya'ni mijozingiz mahsulotingizni hozir sotib olmagan taqdirda ham siz uni bog'lab olishga harakat qilishingiz kerak ekan. Ya'ni yanvar oxirida yangi mahsulotlarimiz keladi, ularni ham ko'rib o'tishingiz mumkin degan gaplarga o'xshagan misolda ularni ushlab qolishga va ularni qandaydir keyingi bosqichga undashga harakat qilishingiz kerak ekan. Agar ular hozirgi daqiqada mahsulotni sotib olishga tayyor bo'lmagan holda ham.
Okay, great. So I'm just going back to the slides for a second. So I just have this in the slides, so when you get it, you'll see that first you have your template and then you build out your questions, right? So I hope those maps and the concepts somewhat make sense to you, but you know, doing it a few times and practicing it and actually drawing it out for yourself is the best way that it's going to work. So I have shared this concept with many people after my intensive training that I had, and I shared it in a very short space of time. And these are takes of people that have used the training in different ways. So some people, you know, they've laid it out. So this particular example on the screen, they took the spin selling and had conversations with their customer. And then when they wanted to write an email out to the customer, they went back and they used a bit of the headings to help sound credible within their email thread, you know, within the template of their email. So they wrote back to the customer and said something like, as we discussed earlier, this was your current situation. You know, we uncovered some challenges. This is what we propose to you. We would like to establish a next step, you know, something like that. You could use the concept even to write out your email. And as you can see here, the actual mind maps can get very, very professional looking. So if you're working with other stakeholders or other business partners and you're putting your concepts and your ideas together, it really does look very, very professional. And we've had great feedback from our customers that have used it. And those reps, those salespeople that go into the effort of actually putting something like this together as well. Sorry.
Can I translate? Yeah. 3 kun, masalan 3 kunlik seminardagi darslarni xoslarga tushuntirib berdilar. Ya'ni bu yerda sizlar fikrlar xaritasini mijoz bilan suhbatlashgandan keyin ularga taklif sifatida, biznes taklifi sifatida qog'ozga xuddi shunday qilib, mana misolda ko'rsatilgandaqa qilib yozib taklifni jo'natsanglar, mijozni sizlarni xizmatlaringlardan, tovarlaringlardan foydalanishga yana ham rag'batlantirgan, undagan bo'lasizlar. Ya'ni bu yerda sizlar mijoz bilan kichik suhbatdan keyin, ishonchli suhbatdan keyin, ya'ni sharoitni tasvirlab beryapsizlar. Ularni sizni suhbatingizdan kelib chiqqan holda ushbu sizlar jarayonda ekansizlar, shunday qandaydir qiyinchiliklar bo'lyapti ekan va bizni takliflarimiz ushbu deb shunga o'xshagan tarzda professional ko'rinadigan tarzda qilib ularga tijorat takliflarini jo'natishlar sizlarga ijobiy natija beradi.
Great. And so this is an example here of a mind map. What I would want you to do is and the only way you're going to remember it is if you actually do this right now. If you have a page in front of you, draw out the template. So draw the middle block and draw out your SPIN, your SPIN, right? So I want you to create your own mind map with a potential customer in mind. Your customer could be a real, you know, a customer you're going to sell to, or it could be around trying to influence an idea to someone in your organization. So the middle block could be, you know, that whoever you're trying to sell your idea or your concept to, and then flesh out your mind map with these things, with situation, problem, impact, and need. Understand what's the goal you want to achieve with the customer, and just draw it out for yourself, okay? And once you do that, if you can think of some situation questions you will ask your customer, some problem questions, just use this idea of the shoe, even if you redraw the shoe concept for yourself, because if you do this, you will retain this information. I'd really like you to try this and take a photo and post it on the chat. And I'm also going to send you the link for the mind maps so that you have it, but you can choose whatever you want to. Okay, I'll send that to you in a minute. Okay, Banu, if you want to translate that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sure. Fikrlar xaritasini qanday qilib ishonchli suhbatlarda ishlatish bo'yicha mana darsimizda hozir o'tib berdilar va buni albatta sizlar qo'llab ko'rishinglarni maslahat beryaptilar. Hech bo'lmaganda o'sha oyoq kiyim poyafzal misolida ham qaytadan o'zingizlarga yozib ko'rib, bosqichma-bosqich sharoitni, muammoni, ta'sirni va ehtiyojni bo'limlarga, qismlariga ichiga misollarni yozib o'zingizlarga esda qolarli qilib ishlatiladigan uslub sifatida foydalanishinglarni aytib o'tyaptilar. Bu narsani xohlagan mahsulotingizda yo xizmatingizda qo'llashinglar mumkin bu misolni va albatta qilib ko'rishinglar kerak. Mana chatga jo'natdilar, uni nimasini, shablonini, formasini, shaklini topishinglar mumkin o'sha yerda va o'sha yerda shu narsani chizib ko'ringlar, o'zingizlarning biznesingizlarga kerakli bo'ladigan qismlarini.
Okay. So I sent you the link as well. So it depends what you want to do, whatever time you have on hand. The link takes a few seconds to download the software. So if you draw it, that'll be great. It's more for you to retain the information. And if we post it on, you know, we'd just like to see different looks of mind maps. And you can create this during research, for planning, for potential customers, to influence stakeholders on your strategy. So they can be drawn on a paper as well, on a piece of paper.
ushbu nimadan ссылкадан sizlar yuklab olishingiz mumkin. Turli xil shakllarda uni chiroyli qilib shakllantirishingiz mumkin. Professional tarzda boshida boshlanishga varaqqa ham yozishingiz mumkin va bu sizlarni biroz o'rganishga, rejalashtirishga, fikrlar xaritasini shakllantirishga yordam beradi. Bu hammasi shakllar sizlarga. Turli xil shakllarni ham foydalanib ko'rishingizni maslahat beryaptilar. Bu yerda turli xil shakllar berilgan.
Or maybe we can show those who started to draw the mind maps. We can show like this, for example. If you started to do it.
Brilliant. So do I stop sharing for them? Okay. Oh, we can just see them, right?
Yeah, we can see them this way if people will be sharing them.
Yeah, that'll be perfect.
Yes, thank you for the template. I've already started doing for one of our projects.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will also use it. It's very helpful.
It's very handy and it looks so professional as well.
Really. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the session is actually, you know, much shorter than I thought. The next slide is just useful links. So if people can just show us, or maybe someone wants to say something, that will be great.
Savollaringiz bo'lsa, qandaydir tushunmagan joylar bo'lsa, bemalol so'rashingiz mumkin.
Yes, while people thinking about their questions or drawing the mind maps, I just wanted to comment that besides like the whole spin technique, I like the idea of showing the customer that what will happen to make them think about what will happen if you won't take the steps to solve the problem. Because, you know, like in our country, sometimes we are used to like, we call it hide problem under the table. So nobody will see it. I will not get punished for it. So let's like wait and see how it goes. And hopefully everything will be okay without me, without solving any problem, without me like giving attention to this problem. So that's helpful thing that things will escalate, in fact.
Oh, definitely. And it's so relevant what you said, Elena, because we deal with multiple different countries and different cultures. People in the UK behave very differently when we use any type of selling technique with them. Like their buying behavior is different to somebody that's in Spain, for argument's sake. So it's really relevant what you're saying. And what you can also do to influence your customer, like we positioning technology all the time. So sometimes if we want to position something around security, and if they have that mindset, oh, let's not worry about it, let's wait until it breaks, then, you know, but what we can show them is some statistics. How many breaches have taken place in the last 18 months because people have done nothing or they weren't educated enough. So most of the time, in order to influence a mindset like that, we bring in a customer story where people had really horrific challenges and they lost, it had an impact on their business, on their net profit. And by implementing this is what we help them save. So that's the other way, you know, by showing them from other experiences, how you've helped other customers.
Can I translate it?
Yeah, of course.
Masalan, Yelena aytib o'tdilar, ya'ni bu texnikani ularga yoqqan jihatlardan bittasi muammolarni yechilmasa mijozlarga qanday qilib ta'sir qilishi mumkinligini aytib o'tish usuli ekan buni ichida. Ya'ni bular Sudesh aytayaptilarki, to'rtlar juda ham turli xil davlatlar bilan ishlashar ekan, bular savdo sotiq olib borishar ekan texnik mahsulotlar bo'yicha va bu jarayonda har bitta xalqni o'ziga yarasha turli xil xususiyatlari bor. Ya'ni bu har xil sotuv metodlarini qo'llayotganda hammaga har xil ta'sir qilishi mumkin ekan, lekin bu muammoni yechilmasa qanday qilib ko'rsatib berishi mijozlarga albatta yaxshi ta'sir qilib, ijobiy ta'sir qilib, muammoni ko'ra olishiga ham olib kelar ekan bu narsa.
Great. Anything else?
Savollar bormi ishtirokchilarda?
So a little bit of a tip from a technology perspective, and I'm not sure how relevant this would be, but when we have a new starter, and we have lots and lots of products, but we always try and educate the new people in our company that's going to go out and sell, to understand, to have an overview of what they're selling, really understand your product, whatever it is you're going to position, and understand your product. So an overview of the solution that you're going to sell. You need to understand why Oracle, in the sense that, so what is our competitive edge in the market? So why should they buy from us? So the sales rep needs to have this already planned in there, as a script memorized, so that they can speak credibly. So know what you're positioning, know why Oracle has the, is the best brand, and then in addition to that, we also arm the sales rep with customer success stories, because when a customer in a specific industry hears how we've helped somebody with a particular problem, say it's manufacturing or whatever, the customer's already influenced. So those are the three things we always encourage someone that's very new and has a lot to learn. Overview, understand the product really well, the pros and cons of your product, do a SWOT analysis of your product, understand your space in the market, you as a seller or you as a startup, understand what it is you have to offer that has a competitive edge against others that are already in the market. And then if you have customer success stories that you've already helped people with, that's really, really very influential. It will influence your potential customers because you already have credibility in the market. If you don't have customer success stories yet, then plan to even get your product out in the market. I know it's not lucrative, it's not impactful to you if you give your product for free, but if you get people to test your product and give you a bit of reviews, that also is going to help you when you speak to potential customers, that people have tried this, they are using it, and this is what they say, that type of thing.
O'zlarini tajribalaridan aytib berdilar. Ya'ni mahsulotni sotayotgan inson o'zini mahsulotini juda ham yaxshi bilishi kerak ekan. Bularni juda ham turli xil texnologik mahsulotlari ko'p ekan va bularni savdo bilan shug'ullanuvchi xodimlarni bular alohida tayyorlovdan o'tkazishar ekan va bu tayyorlovdan o'tgan xodimlar o'zini mahsulotini yaxshi tomonlarini, yomon tomonlarini bozorda o'zini raqobatchilar oldida qanday maqomda turishini, bularni hammasi haqida to'liq ma'lumotga ega bo'lishi va mahsuloti haqida to'liq aytib bera olishi kerak ekan. Shuningdek, korxonani o'zini SWOT analizi, ya'ni ichki tahlilini ham bilib, o'shalarni mahsulot bilan bog'lagan holda mijozga yetkazib bera olishi kerak ekan ushbu savdo xodimlari. Bundan tashqari, sizni mijozlaringizni ya'ni nima deydi, muvaffaqiyatli hikoyalari ham sizlarga juda ham qo'l kelar ekan. Ya'ni sizni mahsulotingizdan foydalangan holda mijoz qandaydir bir yutuqlarga erishdi, daromadini oshirdi, faoliyatini, jarayonini yaxshiladi. Buni aytib berishingiz yoki qandaydir marketing nimalarida, kanallarda, ijtimoiy tarmoqlarda qo'llashingiz ushbu hikoyalarni albatta mijozning ruxsati bilan bu sizlarga bo'lgan ishonchni yana ham orttirar ekan. Agar siz korxonangiz yangi bo'lsa, ushbu bunga o'xshagan hikoyalar sizda kam bo'lsa, qandaydir mahsulotingizni sinab ko'rish orqali odamlardan xulosa yig'ib olib, ushbu xulosani ham qo'llashingiz mumkin ekan. Ya'ni odamlar foydalanib ko'rganda shunday xulosaga keldilar deganga o'xshash. Va siz buni, agar sizda muvaffaqiyatli hikoyalar bo'lmasa, uni kelajakka rejalashtiring. Ya'ni mijozlar, odamlar foydalanib ko'rib, sizga qandaydir o'zini tajribasini aytsin va buni siz boshqalarga misol keltirgan holda sizga bo'lgan yana ham mahsulotingizga, xizmatingizga bo'lgan ishonchni yana ham orttirishingiz mumkin ekan.
Great. So there's no other, if you have no other questions, it's been great presenting to you. There's some useful links up on the slide here. You can learn more about spin selling and the framework. But I hope what we've shared, what I've shared today, makes sense, and do try and use it. It's very impactful. I have been using it throughout my career, and I still use it to influence professionally and personally. It works.
Bu yerda sizlarga kerakli linklarni jo'natyaptilar. Ushbu linklar orqali spin sotish uslubi haqida yana ham ko'proq ma'lumotga ega bo'lishingiz mumkin ekan. O'zlarini faoliyatlarida ushbu uslubdan juda ham necha yillardan beri foydalanib kelyapti ekan va bu haqiqatdan o'zini oqlagan ishonchli uslublardan biri sanalar ekan. Buni albatta qo'llab ko'ringlar. Bu usulni oson qo'llash usullarini ham juda ham sizlarga yaxshi qilib tushuntirib berdilar. Foydalanib o'zingizlarni faoliyatingizga tatbiq qilishga harakat qilinglar.
Thank you, Sudeshni, for such like understandable and easy to use technique like we actually can use like in family and everywhere in work, like in our jobs, maybe like to persuade to hire us for a new position or whatever. So thank you once again. And if you are if everybody's okay with it, we can make a final photo. If you can turn on the camera. Пожалуйста, кто можете, включите камеры, чтобы мы сделали финальное фото. We will wait for people to turn on the cameras, for those who can do it. Barno, можете тоже сказать, пожалуйста?
Kameralar yo'q bo'lsanglar, rasmga olardik. Oxirgi hamsi.
So I'm making a screenshot. Right in a minute. Пожалуйста, все улыбаемся. Делаю фото. So I'm doing a screenshot now. So smile, everyone. And thank you once again, Sudeshni, for the workshop. So we can send the presentation to participants, right? And
yes, I'll send you a more up-to-date one because I added to it. And then you, of course, you share it with your participants. And I want to wish everyone all the luck in their businesses. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here speaking to you all today. Thank you very much. And thank you, Karina, as well, for accommodating me.
Hammaga rahmat aytdilar, yaxshi qatnashganlar uchun, suhbatlariga sherik bo'lganlar uchun. Tashakkur hammaga.
Thank you so much, Sudeshni.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Elena, could you stay for one more minute?
Sure. I'm here. Всем спасибо. До свидания.
I'll see you, Karina. Take care.
До свидания. Спасибо за meeting.
Bye.
Hammaga rahmat. Yaxshi dam olinglar.
Barno, спасибо большое. Barno, thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. I think you can stop recording as well.
Oh, yes. Right. Thank you.